If the Indian team loses, they throw tomatoes and eggs. If the Indian team wins, they carry Dhoni and Sachin Tendulkar and Rahul and over. And that is the way of expressing patriotism. Next to Shah Rukh Khan and Amir Khan and Vijay Khan and Arjun acting in movies that are killing 25 terrorists in 3 hours. Barring these two ways of expressing patriotism and becoming emotional, then there is this mass killings, mass deaths. 100 people have to die somewhere. 1,000 people have to be washed by the floods. I'll come back to you. I'm sorry, I'll come back to you. Give me just a couple of minutes. Give me just a couple of minutes. I'll come back to you. So 10,000 people have to die in a tsunami, or 1,000 people have to die in a cyclone, or 196 people have to be shot in Taj Hotel. Then Indians become highly boiled up, patriotic. They go to the TV channel and they start yelling at everybody that they can think of for 1 month. Then the patriotism barometer goes down. After 1 month, I'm done with it. I got my family, I got my job, I got my pay raise, I got to switch jobs, I got to make more money, I got to get married, get children, drive them up, make money, accumulate wealth. And then suddenly something happens. Again 5,000 people die. Then everybody goes to the street. 400 soldiers were killed at Kargil. You know what happened? Every child, every youth in every school and college in India started buying a hundi, right? I don't know what the English word is. Hundi, you know, everybody knows a hundi, right? So everybody bought a hundi and they went on to the streets starting collecting money. And in one of the colleges like this, when we asked, why did you collect money? Somebody said, I collected 2,800 rupees. We asked him, why did you collect money? He said, they're our soldiers. We have to help their families, right? Wow, yes. Very good intention, very good heart, very patriotic. Then the next question, where did you give the 2,800 rupees to? Who did you give the 2,800 rupees to? He said, there was an uncle in my street and he was collecting from all of us. And then I asked him, do you know where that uncle gave all of your collected monies? He said, he don't know. Then I said, who is this uncle? What does he do? Is he part of the government? Was he part of the collectorate? Or was he collecting from the public officially for the government? He said, no, he belongs to a party. He used to wear a dhoti with some 2 colors, right? Then there ends his patriotism. The intention is good, there is no plan, there is no knowledge, there is no research, and at the end of the day, somebody makes a few lakh rupees, buys a Scorpio Jeep and goes around in the same town that you and I live. That is how these people make the money. And they make the money not because they're smart, just because we are busy doing our own stuff and we are not willing to see what is happening outside our circle. I'm sorry, my friend. Go ahead.
Post office.
Okay.
And last week we went back to take the deposit back. And as soon as we went, he gave us respect and he gave us the form. We don't know what are the schemes available. He explained the schemes. He filled the form for us. And we redeposited the amount back. The way he approached is very excellent.
Can you share with us which post office?
It's a Fully post office.
Okay. I think we should give a big hand. This is why we got to pursue this and not give up, because there are still a few more people in every government department that are honest and straightforward. So there is no reason for us to give up. It is only a matter of numbers. If there are only 20% or 30% of honest, straightforward government employees and officials, we need to build the pressure to increase that number and it will happen. It's only a matter of numbers and a matter of time. So now coming back to the question of freedom. We saw that in this hall, out of 50 or 60 of you, there was only one Satish that had a good experience, happy, relaxed, fulfilling experience from a government department, right? So what happens to us? How many of you have celebrated your Independence Day celebration in a school or a college? One time in your life, at least one time in your life, all of you, right? So can somebody say what happens during the Independence Day celebration? Just break it down into the various activities that happens in the 2 hours, 3 hours. Each one of you can give out one activity. What happens? All of us get seated, then somebody taps the mic, and what happens after that? Flag hoisting, march past, drill, sweets, right? Why sweets? Is August 15 the only day that sweets are distributed in India? So we all exchange sweets for Diwali, we exchange sweets for Ramzan, Christmas, Pongal, Vishu, Chitrakani, all the New Years. What else? Vinayaka Chaturthi, Kolkatai, right? Then the January New Year, again cake. What else? All these festivals, we exchange sweets. There is a interesting line that one of my colleagues at 5th pillar says. Why sweets are distributed in India for all these festivals, right? So he says it's not because we all know that the basic reason is to share happiness. Sweets are symbolic to happiness and sharing happiness. But he says the reason we share, I have one request that I forgot to mention at the beginning. I said let's engage and interact, but the interaction should be global within the room. Please don't talk within yourself because it will be distracting to your neighbors and it will be distracting to me and I will lose track of the topic. So I need all of your support and cooperation for that. If you want to say something, please raise your hands. You will have your opportunity. So my colleague at 5th pillar says the reason Indians exchange sweets on all these days is because they're all government holidays. And the underlying reason is because it is the happiness that even if you want to, you cannot bribe a government official on these days, so they're exchanging sweets. So in Tamil சொல்லுவாங்க, நீங்க நினைச்சா கூட இந்த நாட்கள்ல லஞ்சம் கொடுக்க முடியாதுங்கிற சந்தோஷத்தை கொண்டாடுறதுக்காக ஸ்வீட் கொடுக்குறோம். August 15th அதுக்காக ஸ்வீட் கொடுக்குறோம். வேற எதுக்கு ஸ்வீட் கொடுக்க முடியும்? So let us come back to the flag hoisting. What does it mean? Hoisting the flag. After hoisting the flag, what do we do? Salute the flag. And what does the salute mean really? Are we saluting a piece of cloth? No. Are we saluting the three colors of the piece of cloth? Or the circular design that somebody did in the days that Photoshop was not available? Somebody really took pains drawing all the spokes in the wheel, right? Are we saluting that painstaking what? What are we really saluting? What are we saluting? Courage of who? Whose courage? The freedom fighters. We are really thanking, honoring and paying our gratitude to our freedom fighters, right? So, how many of you have a driver's license? And please bear with me and just keep your hands. Those of you who paid the actual fee in the government, the stipulated fee by the government, and if you know that, please put your hands down. You got to be honest. I don't have a mechanism to capture all of you. So you got to be honest. How many of you, please raise your hands. Whoever has a license, raise your hands. How many of you know what is the actual fee in the government? You can say the fee and you can put your hands down. No, wrong answer. So the neighbor watch that he doesn't put his hand down. In cash or kind or gratifies a government official by paying a bribe is subject to a jail time of a minimum of 1 year to a maximum of 7 years. And if this is a crime, it's a crime as per Indian Penal Codes. Prevention of Corruption Act is a crime, right? So if it is a crime, what is the word in English for a person who commits a crime? So there is this one reason why we should stop complaining the system and realize that we have contributed for the system to be like this. And in Tamil they say, "Rendu kai sernada osai." Oru kaiyila sound panna mudiyuma? Panna mudiyadhu. Even if you want to do this sound, you need 2 fingers, right? So without a bribe payer and a bribe taker, there is no bribe. Period. There is no other excuse. Some people say India is too populated, too vast, too diversified. 28 states, 32 states, so many cultures, so many styles of dressing, food. So it's hard to contain people. But my friends, China is more populated than us. And Chinese citizens don't pay bribes to the traffic policemen like this. There are cases, but there are exceptions. They are reported, they are dismissed. They are not suspended and the case doesn't happen for 15 to 20 years. If somebody in a developed country or a country like China, which is more populated than us, okay, so population is not the problem. So what else do you think is the problem? What is the problem? What are the various problems that India is like this in terms of corruption? intention, attitude of the people. Okay, what else? How many of you think democracy is not the way to go? Because some people, I've heard in some colleges, people say we need military rule. No, right? So PSG Institute of Management really has people who think. So in some, I'm not putting down the other colleges, but some students have said we need a military rule, we need a Hitler, we need a Idi Amin, like that. See, these are dictators who had their own way of controlling their governments and controlling their citizens. And again, for your information, no country that has dictatorial rule is free of corruption. It is a dictator that has all the corrupt money. So that is also ruled out. So it is not the form of government. It is not the population. Do you think it is the size of the country? Singapore is too small. It is smaller than Chennai city. It is less populated than one or two neighborhoods of Chennai city. Let us say Coimbatore and T Nagar. Singapore is less populated than Coimbatore and T Nagar. That is why it is easy to control corruption in Singapore. Some people say that. And Japan is also too small, too tiny. But what about America? America is 4 times the size of India. So there is corruption in America, but there is no day-to-day bribery that affects the common man, the citizen, on a daily basis. If an American citizen or a Singaporean citizen or a Japanese citizen steps out of his or her house in the morning and plans their day to go to this office, get this done, get that certificate, submit this in that office, and come back home at 5 o'clock, they can do it. They don't have to beg. They don't have to lose their self-respect. They don't have to lose their self-esteem. They don't have to cow down. They don't have to bend their backbone. They don't have to give up anything. They can just go what Mahatma Gandhi said, the customer is the king. Every citizen in a developed nation, in a democratic developed nation, is the king. The citizen is the king. The citizen is the master of the society. And unfortunately, in India, we have pseudo-democracy. We are all treated like beggars. We are all willing to be treated like beggars. They steal left, right, and center. We are willing to allow them to steal every day. And we put the blame on something. We say, if I have to take off for 4 days from my job to go get a certificate, I will lose my salary for 4 half days, which means I make 14,000 per month, and this is like this. So I lose 3,500 rupees. A software professional in Bangalore, when we were doing a session like this, he started putting forth his points, like, not like Satish, but like Satish came up with a point. That gentleman stood up and he said he wanted to say something. He said, I make this much money, and if I have to go for 4 days taking off to get one certificate in a government department, which is the status quo in India today, I will lose 5,000 rupees. He prorated his salary and 4 days loss of pay. He said, I will lose 5,000 rupees. Instead, I pay a 2,000 rupee bribe and get it on the same day. I pay a 1,000 rupee donation to an orphanage, and I get my wife a $2,000 rupee jewelry. And he says, all of us are happy. I saved the money. I made 3 people happy. The person in the government department who took the bribe, he's happy. He gave it to me instantly. I'm happy because I didn't have to put diesel or petrol in my vehicle and go for 4 times and in Bangalore traffic. And the orphanage is happy because they're always dying for donations and funding support. My wife is happy, which again makes me happy. So he said this is like a happiness quotient. Everybody is happy. How many of you think this is okay to do? Anybody in this hall think this is okay to do? Is justifiable reason?